reminder, we're here to learn from each other. This class is being recorded. If you want a copy of the class, all you have to do is email help it get set up. When you get the follow-up email, you will also receive that. It's on live stream. If you'd like to participate in the class, then all you have to do is register. And we're not paid any promotion fees for anything I talk about. And basically, the only thing I'm mentioning is I share book suggestions for you. So I'm Christine, and I live in Seattle, Washington. I've also lived in Honolulu, Boston, San Francisco, and Dallas. So I have seen a lot of the country. I'm a retired teacher, consultant, and I've done journaling all my life. I have boxes of books, journals that I've done. I've taken writing classes and retreats and also taught writing classes. I enjoy learning about people's life stories, and I have a degree as a retired counselor and teacher for over 30 years, and my bachelor, I also have a bachelor's degree. So I'd like to find out how often you journal. So I'm gonna stop here. So raise your hand if you journal maybe once a week, if you raise your hand, okay? Or every day. Does anybody journal every day? Yay, okay. And raise your hand if you meditate. If you want to raise your hand, if you do meditation daily, if you, okay. And those of you that were in the class last week, did any of you was there any change in writing from what we did last week? Did it change anything for anyone that was here last week? Did anybody do anything different or any insight since we met last week? Anybody have anything to share?
Trying to do a little more, but it was so good. But I was very inspired. I can't say, well, I've got my journal handy and I want to do it. Let's put it that way. But I'm willing to learn, and maybe I was trying to remember some things that you said. I imagine I was, but it was very good. I thought it was good, Chris.
Yes, and I'm glad you made it. I was so glad you made it.
Thank you.
So yeah, today, again, we're going to do the first one will be the same, just because it's sort of a check-in with yourself, and then the other ones are going to be very different. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started here. Now, if anybody has any questions as we go along, if you've been taking Get Set Up classes, sometimes the gallery, how I see the screen gets covered when I have the slides on. So please feel free, if you have a question, please unmute and say, I have a question. Otherwise, we'll just get going on here for the first one. Okay, 1 second. Okay. So again, just a reminder for those of you who were here the first time, so those of you who are repeating, a little bit will be the same, but because we have new people, it's just Socrates said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. So that's what we're doing in journaling for mindfulness, is really understanding what we're thinking and feeling. And what is mindfulness? It is the simple and very powerful practice of training our attention, paying attention to what is happening here and now. And those of you that meditate, you're already familiar with what it's like to meditate and what our attention does, and that practice of learning to bring our mind back to peace. So the first book that is reported in 1975 by a Vietnamese monk, The Miracle of Mindfulness. This is the book. And I also have a long list. I've even added one more book to the list if you like to do some reading on mindfulness. So mindful journaling allows us to express our thoughts and feelings privately without a fear of judgment. And that's the point today. Anything you write today, you do not have to share with anyone. And I think it's a good practice to write and be able to store your writing in a place where you don't have to worry about it being seen. It helps for us to express ourselves more. And it also helps, this is my experience through all difficult situations I've been through in my life, to be able to write it out. I get great release from being able to do that. And it also releases emotions in a controlled manner. So it also helps relieve stress. If you're feeling anxious, something's coming up that you want to write about, how you feel about it, how what you're afraid of, what you prefer would happen. It allows you to be aware of emotional triggers. So as you're writing, I'm happy today, or I'm unhappy today, or I'm angry, or I'm fearful. So as you write those things out, you're more in touch with your emotion. It also boosts your creativity, as we've talked about, as we talked about last week, in using different ways. Um, to do, you can write, you can doodle, you can draw, you can list. So we're going to talk about that. It develops better cognitive processing because you're in touch with different parts of your brain, using both your left side of the brain, right side of the brain, touch with thinking and in touch with your emotions. It increases your communication skills because as you're writing things out, you're more in touch with what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and putting it on paper. And it also can increase job satisfaction because anytime we can release those emotions of dissatisfaction or satisfaction, it helps. So um, to practice mindfulness, my suggestion, or the suggestion for all my research and what I do, is a minimum of 5 to 10 minutes a day. I write in the morning just a few minutes and write at night for a few minutes, just as where am I, how am I feeling? Do it just for yourself. No one else can get to see unless you want to share it with people. Discover in the moment, which is what we're doing today, in the moment, your inner wisdom, your feelings. Are you sad? Do you feel happy? It also can help you solve a problem if you just can't figure something out, to say, okay, how can I solve this problem? And write out different thoughts, whether it's making lists, whether it's making circles of, here's my problem, here's one solution, here's another solution. Maybe you like to write poetry, or you think you'd like to try, or you want to write a story. So the mindful exercises we're going to do today, it's going to give you time to just listen. It's free writing. You don't have to worry about punctuation. You don't have to share what you've written. You can talk about what your experience was. You can list, you can draw, you can doodle, you can do both. You can use different kinds of pens, pencils, whatever works for you. I use a clipboard a lot because that gives me the ability to sit in different places, even take your clipboard with you and write, maybe even in your car, or go sit in a park, and then having the prompts and music. So we're going to start here in a minute, and I just want to check. Does anyone have any questions before we begin? We're going to start in an exercise. I'm going to give you some direction, give you a suggestion of something to write, draw, or doodle, and it'll be about a few minutes, and I'll time it, and you'll also get to hear some music. So any questions before we begin? Okay, if you guys want to go ahead and mute just to be sure that it's quiet so you can all hear the music. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here is the first. So this is what we did yesterday. My first suggestion is just to write the date and time. This is what I do every time I write, what the date is. And then I'd like you to just for a few minutes, close your eyes before we start writing. Take some deep breaths, take about 3 deep breaths, and be very conscious that you're sitting wherever you're sitting, that you scan your body. How are you feeling from head to toe? And allow your mind to just focus on your thoughts and feelings. And I'm going to start the music, and the prompt I'd like you to think about is, what are you feeling right now? And either you can write out, again, it doesn't have to be sentences, you don't have to worry about spelling, punctuation. So here is the music. And go ahead and begin. What are you feeling right now?
Stay sleek in comfortable
Sorry.
shapewear fabric.
Sorry.
Depend. The only thing stronger than us is you.
Sorry. Okay, that was about 3 minutes. So for those of you that are here for the first time, or we can just start, anyone like to share anything about what that was like? Especially if you've done that for the first time, listen to music and then just reflect on your thoughts. And again, you don't have to share what you wrote, but if you just want to talk about what that was like for you, anyone? Yes,
I liked it. I enjoyed it because I got myself in the present moment and all my other thoughts stopped. So I was able to really focus and clear my mind. I liked it.
Great, terrific. Okay, anyone else want to share anything, how it was for them? Yes, Judy?
I had just experienced an issue about should I go. There's a guy in front of my place protesting
Oh,
with a sign, and it's so I decided, did I want to go? I'm on his side. Should I go out and join him? And I know I'm in kind of a hostile country. Anyway, I wrote a whole page on how I was feeling.
interesting, great. And
Yeah,
that's
just happened that just this, and that's why I was late, because I decided to go out
oh,
and
okay.
expose myself.
Okay, so those are great examples of just being in touch exactly what's going on with you,
Yeah,
especially if you're struggling with should I or shouldn't I. It helps to do a pro and con for making decisions sometimes, just doing lists. So great, thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else wanted to share about how that was for them?
Just before class started, I was sitting outside on my porch and a friend walked by and we visited for a minute. And then I realized I couldn't remember her name. And I know her so well. So I was focusing with the music on seeing her teaching yoga, which she does, and I wanted her name to come to me, and so far it hasn't, but that's what I was doing.
Okay, so you've opened up your mind and said, let me remember. Okay, which I do, when I can't find something good, okay, let me know where that I put that. So thank you
Yes,
for sharing.
yes.
Okay, let me just check the chat for a minute. And Katie said her camera doesn't only communicate by chat. That's fine. Please feel free to. We're going to go ahead and go right into the next one. Let me just get it uploaded here. There we go.
I was going to say one more thing, Christine, if I
Oh,
could.
sure, Shirley.
Okay, so I did try to do, you said to write first thing in the morning and do a brain dump. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I've been trying really hard to do it. But I don't really know what I'm doing, but I am trying.
Okay, so basically it's just whatever's on your mind. So it's just free writing. Sometimes it's called stream of consciousness. That again, you're not trying to worry about how you're spelling. You're not trying to worry about the punctuation or what somebody else would think about what you're writing, but just let it go. If you're unhappy with something, or you again trying to make a decision, or you're really excited, like today I get to see my family for the first time in 6 months, so I'm pretty excited. There are other things going on in my life too. So again, you could do one for what I'm not happy about, or maybe one for what I'm happy about. Okay, does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, everybody, you want to go ahead and mute again, and we'll go ahead and go to our next one. Okay, here we go. So our next one, again, let's see. So the next exercise I hope will be more fun, because I would like you to think about, again, let's go ahead and pause for a minute. Let's just get seated again, close our eyes before I give you the prompt, and just breathe deeply, maybe about 3 times, just to get in touch with yourself, how you're feeling. And then the prompt for you is, what is the best trip you've ever taken? Which decade? Maybe you want to talk about a couple trips, but at least one. Pick a decade. It might have been when you were a child. It could have been 10 years ago. What did you do and what did you experience? So go ahead and think about at least one trip. If you want to do more, feel free to do that. Then we will begin. So that was 4 minutes. So would anyone like to share anything about what came to mind?
I want to share.
Okay, Christina.
And there are so many different trips in my past, but next week will be different because I'm going to go Seattle to see my grandson and my daughter. And I know my grandson and come is a little surprise and amazing for us. And we never see him. And during the pandemic, my daughter started pregnant. He is 5 months already, and we cannot wait to see him. And he's half Jewish, half Chinese. And my older grandson, he's 2.5. My daughter sent them to the Montessori school to learn Spanish and Chinese. I was wondering, am I not busy and learning when I was 2.5? But I'm so glad cannot wait to kiss them and hug them because I know my younger grandson already start giggling.
Wow, congratulations. And you're coming here to Seattle.
Right.
You're having a family reunion just like me. And my niece is half Chinese. Her husband is also Jewish, and they have a 2.5-year-old son. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And she's pregnant. She's going to have a baby any day. So I can't believe how much in common our situations are. Wow. So I'm so thrilled for you, Christina. I'm sure all of us are. Wow. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share anything about a trip that they did, or anybody else? Okay, Shirley.
I had a lot, so I'm just going to say a little bit.
Okay.
As a child, camping around Lake Superior, it was a nice, slow, relaxing one. And another time we had car problems, ended up camping at a state park, picking wild blueberries and having yummy, wonderful blueberry pancakes. They were so sweet. Just the best. And and we wouldn't have visited that place unless we'd had car problems. My dad had a hitchhike back. So that's just a couple things I was writing.
Wow, how exciting.
Memories.
Yeah, that's what came up for me because I went to Disneyland when I was age 8. And so, yeah. Okay, anybody else want to share? Judy, did you want to share something? Did you raise your hand? No. Okay, anybody else? Okay, I'm glad. So what I hoped with this is that it would bring back really good memories of former trips, and then keeping in mind maybe what's in the future for us. So anyway, we're going to go on to the next one. I'm hoping this is bringing good feelings. So here we go. And if you want to go ahead and mute, so it's quiet for each of you. And so here we go to, this is number 3. So again, if you want to close your eyes for a minute, just take about 3 deep breaths just to be in touch with where you are, where you're sitting. Let your mind relax and take some deep breaths. And here is the prompt for you. You're actually going to write a diary entry for 5 years in the future. So if you put down today's date, May 15th, 2026. So we're thinking in the future. How are you spending your day? What have you been doing for the past 5 years since you were in this class today? Have you traveled? Where'd you go? How long? What did you see? Did you volunteer in this 5 years? Did you work? Do you have hobbies? What did you do to stay fit? Take classes. Somebody could everybody mute? I'm hearing some background noise. If you could, please, everybody. And so classes, how many classes? What did you take? So those are just some ideas. You don't have to answer all of those, but it's just some ideas of maybe what comes to mind 5 years from now. So again, that's why I want you to write the date, May 15th, 2026. And here we go. So that was 5 minutes. So how did you do with thinking of 5 years out? Joan, excuse me.
I was thinking about the past when my children were small and I didn't have the time to do what I wanted to do because I was working and taking care of them. So now I'm doing what I want, when I want, and I think I'll be doing the same thing 5 years from now. I love to read books on my different interests, and that's what I do now. And I think that's what I'll be doing in 5 years. My interests may change, but I'll be reading about them.
Great. Okay. Anyone else want to share how that was? Were you able to think 5 years? Was there anything different? Or like Joan, she's going to probably stay the same. Anybody find anything really different that they thought they might try? Yes, Judy?
5 years in the future, I will be 86 years old. I mean, I'm 86. I will be 91 in 5 years. This is something that I've never, I don't know. You think disability, loss of your identity. I mean, it seems unknown, like it's never been before. I've always had goals, obtained them. I have good health. I have enough money to be comfortable. I just have to see myself, and I'm beginning people seem to treat me like a wise old sage now. I'm having difficult because I'm not sure I want that role.
So,
but I'm thinking I don't have much choice.
So that's what's really wonderful about this exercise, because this is actually, I have this book, I'm grabbing the book here. I have the book listed in the table of contents, and it's actually called Future Diary. And it came out like over 30 years ago. And it's probably one of the best books I've ever read, because it does kind of walk you through and it's again, opening your mind, opening up your feelings. 5 years from now, if it were today, what have I liked to have done in this time? Being around people, maybe doing some traveling. So it's just kind of opening up your creativity.
Who wrote it? Who wrote the book Future Diary?
Oh, okay. It is Mark Victor Hansen, and it'll be in the email that I send out to you.
Okay,
Future
thank you.
Diary, Mark Victor Hansen, and it's a really easy. It's not a lot of text. It has text, but it just walks through. So thank you for sharing, Judy. Anybody else want to share anything that surprised them that came up? Okay, we have, yeah, Shirley.
You got me to think about something that I knew I should have been looking at 5 years down the road, but I have been just like, oh, whatever, someday. But you know what? You made me think. And then I have to make plans other than, well, someday these things are going to happen, but someday. But it's like, well, what would you really like to have happen? And I agree with the lady before. I can't control everything, but I can make plans.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it got me thinking about those things and things I'd like to do, hope to do, and my goals. Give me a lot of goals. And then so and my aunt always used to say this to me. She's still around, and she'd say, if you do something difficult, even not, it's always good to have something good to look forward to. But like if I have to go to do something challenging like a colonoscopy or something, like then I should be planning something really nice afterwards. I don't know anybody who likes a colonoscopy personally, but so it's always have something good to look forward to.
Exactly. A real good
Yeah.
milkshake, a big meal after that, after you haven't eaten.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know where I'm going to eat and then take a nap usually.
Thank you. Thank you for getting me to think that way.
Yeah, this is the part about, so it's our thoughts, our feelings, opening our creativity, our imagination, especially what we have all lived through the past year and a half, that we've lived in a time that none of us have ever experienced. So that's why this is so helpful and powerful for the mind, to have the possibility for me to be with my family for the first time in six months, and to see in-laws for the first time in a year and a half. This is such a major day for me, and watching the world open. And so I think we need that hope and that opening our imagination to where we can be. So if 5 years was too tough, maybe try a year, or maybe try 2 years, just to give yourself in a year what you may want to do. 5 years might have been a little too long. So anyway, so let's go ahead and go to our last one for today. And Judy, Katie put a message for you in chat. I hope you are still brave enough to join the protest you did today. So that was the response in the chat. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to go into our last prompt. And here we go. This one, I'm going to have you try silence. I'm going to show you a picture that I actually took. It's just a peaceful picture, but I thought we'd try silence and see how you like that. So 1 second here. There we go. Okay, so our fourth exercise is, what are your 5 intentions for this week? What are the most important things you will do for your health, your brain health, physical health, emotional health, thinking about relationships? Please be sure and mute everyone so there's no background. And creativity. What do you do for creativity? Do you knit? Do you draw? Do you paint? Whatever you do. And then how many days do you think you will journal? So this is 5 intentions for your week. You don't have to put all of them. These again are just suggestions. So let's go with the picture. So here's the picture, and I'm going to turn the timer on. We're going to try silence. Go ahead, close your eyes, take some deep breaths. And then I have a picture for you to glance at if you choose. Otherwise, just go ahead and try writing 5 intentions with those ideas. So go ahead and begin. Okay, if you want to go ahead and stop. That was about 5 minutes. So I'm curious what the difference was for you without sound, any music. Was it easier for you or did you prefer music? So anyone want to share?
It was easier for me. I found the music a little too loud for me, but
Okay,
the silence was good. I could concentrate a little better. Thank you.
absolutely. That's why I wanted to try it out, see how you feel. Also for you to know for yourself. Joan?
Same with me. I found the music a little loud, but also a little distracting when I was trying to think. I don't usually have music on when I'm reading or something like that.
Mhm. Great. I'm glad to hear that because that helps me to plan for next week. Anyone else want to share what their preference is? Yeah, Shirley?
think because we take that meditation class, maybe we could do the breathing when we listen to the music
Oh,
and then do the writing afterwards. We could try that.
okay. Okay, good
Yeah.
idea. Thanks.
Mhm.
Anybody else want to share what it was like for them? Or even how, oh, Judy, yes?
I don't think it makes any difference. You know,
Okay.
Yeah,
my mind is already on it. So
And
right.
that's why it's
just
personal
switch.
preference. And that's why I wanted, you to try different things if you haven't before. So I appreciate that feedback. So maybe next week we'll try two without and two with, but I'll do it softer. I
Mhm.
appreciate hearing that you'd like it softer. Thank you. So anyone want to share how it went with doing your intentions? Was that easy? Was that difficult? Just to come up with a few for the week ahead?
I guess I do go, I do planning by the week, and then every day I get up and write what I want to do. So I'm pretty good at things like that. But to sit down and write for 3 minutes in the morning and the afternoon, I I'm going to try and do that. And if I put it on my to-do list, maybe I'll get it done. But it's been something I've been planning to do for a long, long time and haven't got around to it. So
Great.
hopefully this week.
Okay. Well, we'll see if you come back next week. You can let us know. Anybody else want to share how writing down intentions, even by categories, if that helped at all to give you some ideas?
I want to share,
Okay,
and
Christina.
I've been writing down the gratitude journal for a while. So I like the writing down the mindful journal, and I feel happy around with the people, and they're loving and care. And also, I find the exercise and enjoy outdoor. It's necessary for my daily life. It's highlight for my daily life, and I like to learn new things, and I like draw, and a lot of things, and a hobby can be continued because my husband encouraged me, and he also draw, and he used his one hand to play his favorite song in the piano, which is, and I think it's, for me it's wonderful, and we just try to and encourage one another. We would like to travel to see our daughter in 2 different states, and I want to keep learning new things.
Great. Thank you for sharing, Christina. Anyone else? Um, that was actually our fourth one for today. And this class is going to be offered again next week. And again, I'll change the prompts again. I appreciate the feedback, what your preferences are. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the slides to end the class, and then we can have a little bit more discussion. Oh, I wanted to ask.
What was the first prompt? Because I came late. I went last week, but I had a class today that I couldn't get here till 2:30. What was the first prompt?
The first prompt was last week. I wanted to keep it the same just to be, what are you feeling and thinking right now?
Oh, that
So
was
we just
the
got
same.
everybody where they are right now, and then we could start with other different ideas. I wanted to ask, I just showed you a picture also. I wanted to find out, when you're writing, do you look at the picture or do you just focus on writing? Raise your hand if you look at the picture. I'm curious. Okay, or oh, a couple of you. Okay, so I just tried to come up with something that looked peaceful. So as you're glancing up, maybe that just helps you feel peaceful and relaxed. So we'll go back to finish off our slides for today. Okay, and let me close this out. Okay, so here we go. So just a reminder, the 5 ways to practice mindfulness: to turn off your phone and computer, just so you have silence and you're giving yourself that time for however many minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Stop what you're doing, take some breaths. I find it just helps so much to close my eyes and even take 3 deep breaths just to get myself centered. And I've really experienced this from taking the social hour meditation class every Wednesday, which is 5 o'clock Pacific time. And Shirley is also in that too. Find mindful moments in everyday tasks when you're doing things like, I have to wash dishes. I don't have a dishwasher, so I can look out a window while I'm doing my dishes and think. Doing one thing at a time is one of the things in practicing mindfulness, because we've lived our lives usually juggling a lot. So, and also noticing how you're feeling. So again, the resources, I'm going to send the same resources, some books. Some of you are here for the first time, and I've added the new book that I mentioned. It's actually not a new book. It's been out for years, but I'm adding that for you. So our summary: the benefits of journaling and mindfulness are for our well-being, helping us reduce stress, importance of pausing and breathing and remembering to be silent, become aware of our feelings and thoughts without people's judgments by writing, and the importance of doing it daily just to get in the habit of, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? And if you only take the time in the morning to just think, okay, what am I thinking? Every morning I do my intentions before I get up. It's just thinking, but I also do write how I'm feeling and what I want to do. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 minutes. And I also do that every night. And it just helps me to get centered in the morning and at night, just to think about what's happened today that I'm grateful for, maybe what's happened that's challenged me, but how I handled it. So we're grateful for you coming today. We really value your feedback. And just so you know, some related classes, which you'll get in the follow-up email. There's social hour for meditating, as I mentioned. There's also practicing 10 minutes of presence, which comes from a wonderful woman in Australia. I've taken many of her classes. My next classes are creating resumes on Monday, and successful interviewing, I think it's Tuesday, and then community connections, which is about how to connect with your community with volunteering. This is the email you're going to receive with notes and the things I've mentioned to you, some class suggestions. And then this section is real important. To get set up, let me know how you like the class, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, what suggestions you have for me and for Get Set Up. And also, they'd love to hear from you. What other classes you would like to take? So you can also invite a friend. When you book your class now, you can actually click on the link and send an email to your friend, whether you do it on your computer or by mobile. And we also work with organizations like assisted care, senior living, government organizations. So if you work with an organization that you think would benefit from us, you can send us that information. If you want to request a copy of this session, then you can just send it to getsetup.com. So I'm going to stop sharing, and thank you again. Thank you all for coming today. Any questions, comments, suggestions anybody has? I have something in the chat. Thank you, Shirley.
Great, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
hope that helped to just get your mind in a different place, give you some ideas, thinking future, thinking present, and hopefully opening up some creativity. So thanks so much for coming.
will the class be at the same time every
Next week it is, I don't know if it'll be every week, but so far she's scheduled it for next Saturday for sure. And they kind of look to see how many people schedule for this time. So I hope it works.
Okay, and it should
Otherwise,
be
that's,
in the things that you're sending out, there's a spot to enroll for it.
yes, you can always, you can go book a class and because you need to book each time for the classes. So thank you, Shona. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yes, you do need to register for each time. And you, as you know, there's so many, there are over 300 classes and they just keep adding them. And I noticed they're late at night, early in the morning because we have people teaching in Australia and people teaching in India. So
Wow.
thanks so much,
Yeah.
Christina. Have a safe trip. And
Thank you so
any of
much.
you traveling, have a wonderful time. And if you come back next week, the next time I see you, I look forward to hearing about your wonderful time with your family. So I hope all of you are getting to experience time with friends and family as things are opening up for all of us. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thanks so much for
Thank
coming
you.
and
Thank
sharing. And
you.
it was great. And next week we'll do different prompts again. And I appreciate your ideas. And that's one of the things in the email, in the feedback. Please feel free. I'm really, as you can see, I'm really open to feedback. So let me know what you're thinking. Okay.
Great
Bye,
job. Have
everyone.
fun
Great job.
too.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. For those of you
Judy,
who came for
you've
the
got,
first time. Bye-bye.
Judy has a bike helmet on her bed. Is that your bike helmet, Judy?
Pardon?
You have a bike helmet on your bed. Is that your bike helmet?
Yes, uh-huh.
Do you ride
Look at you.
outside?
Look at
How
you.
far do you
Yes.
ride? How far do you ride?
This morning I rode 6 miles.
Oh my gosh. Look at you. Come on. This is really good.
But
Oh
how
my
long
gosh.
can it last, you know?
You are my
I know.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
So I hope you think about what you want to be doing in a year, where you want to go with your bike riding.
Right.
That's so wonderful.
Great.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
that's
everyone. I'm
great.
glad you noticed.